Hello and welcome to Career Talks with Mentoria. It is our passion to help you discover yours. And through these webinars, these talk shows, and so on and so forth, we want to give you a realistic understanding of the career that you're heading. The more you know, the more informed your career or educational decisions. And today we're going to have an incredible conversation on the world of hotel management and building a career in it. If you want to build a career in the world of hospitality and hotel management, this video or this sort of webinar is for you. And we have an extremely special guest with us, Ritu Chawla, who's the managing partner at Prognosis Global Consulting. She invested over 30 years in the field of hospitality and hotel management. She's worked at Taj Mahal Palace, at Fort Aguada Beach Resort, at Marriott Hotels for over 17 years, and now leads a consulting company. And I'm sure that we're going to get some absolutely incredible insights from her on the world. So Ritu, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Nikhar. I'm so excited to be a part of this whole career discovery journey with Mentoria and these youngsters because I think hospitality has a very exciting career opportunity to offer. And I really would like to share the good, bad, and the ugly, as you put it, with them, and give them a fair idea of what, is in store in this industry. Yes, so I'm Ritu Chawla Mathur, as you all know, and yes, I've given 3 decades to this industry now, but the exciting part is that I'm a second generation hotelier. So both my parents, my mom and dad, have been from the hospitality industry. So that also made my entry a little easier, I have to say, because as a youngster, those were the days when you grew up in hotels. There were hotel general managers and they stayed in hotels. And, I lived in hotels right till I was around 12, and I used to breathe, sleep, eat hotels. And therefore, it was the most obvious career choice for me. I couldn't think of anything else, And while I know in those days, and even sometimes now, people keep saying, are you sure about hospitality as a career? And people do have apprehensions because it requires a lot of hard work, time. Pays are never as good as engineers or, for that matter, doctors, etc. But so my mom did try saying, take another career, but it was always hospitality. So yes, I started my journey. 96, I passed out of the first batch of IHM Aurangabad, which is one of the top private institutes today in hotel management. And we were the guinea pigs, so to say, the first batch coming out of this college. Exciting times, a 3 years course, where we're doing bachelor's in hotel management. And then I joined Taj Group itself as a management trainee for a year of a management training program. And I think I was really lucky to start my career at the flagship property, Taj Mahal Palace and Taj, Mumbai, So I would say if you get an opportunity to start off sometimes in bigger hotels, that's exciting. And then from there, the journey was, I did a great number of lovely hotels, but across the segment of business, I did resorts, I did Fort Aguada in Goa, then I did urban resort kind of a corporate hotel, the West End in Bangalore. And then I went on to run as a general manager, the Taj Fisherman's Cove, which is in Chennai. And so was my journey through business hotels, through luxury hotels, through resorts. And like you mentioned, I did that for nearly 18 odd years with the Taj Group. And I then realized that maybe there is a time for change in terms of, let me see what's there in the world outside, It was a great going with the Taj because from the time I exited as a management trainee till the time I became GM, my journey was just 10 years, which is really one of the benchmark numbers that people do look at, when they're talking about a management training program or exiting good colleges. A 10 years track record to GM is considered good. So that was great, but I really felt that I needed to move into more international exposure. And, that's how I toyed with Marriott, and I got lucky. I joined them as a pre-opening assignment where I opened a hotel for them in Pune. And so my operations role kind of ended with that when I opened a hotel at Pune. And then I got married late, so I decided to change course, because the balance sometimes is a little hard, but it's not impossible. I chose to then move into the consulting field and start my own company with a friend of mine. So we now do this. I run the consulting firm called Prognosis Global Consulting. And actually, those years of experience in running hotels and operations, has now helped me into being able to use all that exposure and experience to be able to help people set up their hotels. So one thing about hospitality is that there are larger positions open at entry level. So we all start pretty much at entry level. And that's something to keep in mind. One doesn't automatically jump into a managerial position. It rarely does happen. So we all start with a choice of departments as a career. Like when you even go into the hotel management course, at one point you'll be asked for specialization. That's accommodations or food and beverage or culinary. A lot of focus is being given to the chef side of things, and a separate extended program is going on for culinary. So these are typically your three verticals. Now, sales and marketing, HR, accounts have all been subsidiary verticals. You generally don't do hotel management to get into these roles in hotels. You actually come from such disciplines when you enter hotels, but the technical knowledge is in these three fields, like I mentioned. So you choose one of these routes. Accommodation is further divided into front office or housekeeping. So you choose, I enter through the housekeeping route or the front office route. So these are the routes you enter. You do a couple of years. Anywhere, I would say between 0 to 5 years is spent in department levels and to kind of hone your department skills. If at this stage in the industry, you get an opportunity to do cross training in departments, I would highly recommend it. Companies today, and especially international chains, are very open to the idea that you joined 2 years front office, then you decided that front office was not interesting you, or you wanted to learn a little more in other departments like food and beverage, so you're welcome. Then you'd move into food and beverage, you do housekeeping, so you do a gamut of departments. And that's when they say, starting these 2 to 5 years, you're typically at an assistant managerial position. 5 to 8 to 10 years, you move into the head of department position. And from there on comes the general management position. So most routes are the technical routes, the technical department routes to the general management position in hotels. So the accommodation side is a good blend of front office and housekeeping. You typically choose one route, but at some point when you grow up the ladder, they merge the two and you kind of head it as an accommodation manager, EAM accommodation, director of rooms, what we hear of today, right? So the accommodation route, typically that route helps you become general manager in hotels, in resorts. You can get onto cruises, if you want to do the housekeeping side of cruises. Today, we also have a lot of alternate type of accommodation, the Airbnbs you heard of. So the people from the accommodation route even manage serviced apartments, small homestays. You can actually be running a homestay vertical of 5-6 homestays in Goa, but you typically make the accommodation guys someone I'd personally prefer, because the homestays have more of room management rather and less of food and beverage. Food and beverage is just a byproduct. I offer you breakfast, I offer you a couple of meals or whatever, right? So accommodation now helps you do a lot of these things, including moving into company like PVR, like cinemas, doing their facilities management or facilities management in companies, in very large companies like Quest and companies like that, who are looking at managers for corporate buildings, etc. So accommodation route helps you cross over, and a skill set that is required by any industry today, I feel, including the fact that running homes. estate management is becoming a very interesting career. It's not so prevalent in India, but you go to countries like UK, in London, you manage large estates, as an accommodations person, you then run a house for somebody, or you run his events for somebody, etc., and so on. So that typically is what accommodations give you an exposure into, the front office side, the reception side, and then the housekeeping side of things. So if I join front office, then pretty much my entire exposure is in the front of the house. I'm checking in guests, checking out guests, making sure that during their entire, a guest life cycle, there's something called a guest life cycle. Pre-arrival, arrival at the hotel, during the stay, departure, post-departure, that all comes under front office management, right? I have to make sure that from the time my reservation is taken and from the time he leaves the hotel, I've created good memories, right? So that whole life cycle journey of check-in, check-out, baggage handling, message handling, etc., comes under accommodation, front office. Now, the other side of accommodations is housekeeping. In that, typically, what I'm actually doing is making sure the rooms part of it is completely looked after. It's like having a guest come home, really, Nikhar. So when you have someone come home, you receive them, you greet them, you're making them comfortable, then you escort them to the room, show them where the room is, if you're hosting them for the night. And then the part of the room that you've taken care of, making the bed, making sure the bathrooms are in order, toiletries are in place, the room looks luxurious, clean, welcoming, personalized. If I know it is an elderly couple, my uncle and aunt coming to stay with me, do I want to give them the room on the top floor? Do I give them the room on the ground floor? All of this, it's actually like running a big house. It's very interesting. It's as simple as that. It's a lot of heart, a lot of mind, but a lot of heart as well. So if you were to just take the hospitality that you see around at home and put it in an organized environment, that's typically what you're doing in terms of rooms, accommodations, housekeeping. So that's the two areas, and that comes under accommodations. So,
beautiful.
Okay, so what's a typical day like? Yeah. So for example, in terms of housekeeping, my typical day is doing the check-in and the checkouts that have happened. I'm now going in, cleaning those rooms as per a particular standard. If it's an occupied room, I'm cleaning it as per a particular standard. So but typically nowadays, most housekeeping entry level is done by a different class of people. And we as hotel management, we train at the level of a housekeeping attendant, but we move much quicker into a supervisory role. So it's not like day in and day out for next 5 years I'm cleaning rooms and bathrooms. Not really. Usually it's a shorter duration and I can move faster into supervisory level. Yeah.
Got it. So when I'm supervising, I'm then ensuring that, in essence, a way to call it blue-collar workers, or people who, in essence, are on-floor workers. They're being managed properly and they're being trained properly, and they're sort of being able to clean the rooms and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And then what does sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Nikhar, I do want to mention here that in our industry, there's a very high level of dignity of labor. You have to know the job before you supervise. So it's not accepted that you tell him how to clean a toilet if you haven't cleaned a toilet before. Leading by example is really big, because we also deal with a lot of class of people for whom all of this is absolutely new. Coming into glamorous settings like hotels, but you have housekeeping attendants who, otherwise live in a very different environment. You actually have to train them. So you need to be able to know how to do the job. And you will notice right up to a GM's level, you will continue working on shop floor. As a GM, I remember if it's busy, I did help in picking up luggage. So it does not end just because you moved a rung in your in your career does not mean you don't have anything to do with the hands-on part of the job. So the hierarchy is I join in as a front office executive. I move in as a duty manager. From a duty manager, depending on size of the hotel, I become an assistant front office manager, the number 2 in the department. And then I become a front office manager, which is the head of department. Housekeeping is a similar route. You join in housekeeping attendant in the start, then housekeeping supervisor, then floor managers, and then you become an assistant housekeeper, and then an executive housekeeper. Okay, so that's the hierarchy. Now, as with each step, your role in changes. So what you know starts mattering less than who you know. So what I mean is, knowing how to do a room is good for the first 2-3 rungs of your career. Later, it is knowing your people, managing your customers, managing your people, your guests, your time management, strategizing and organizing your day. You have, for example, if I worked in a 500 room hotel, you have 150 checkouts. Which rooms are you going to address first in cleaning? Where are you going to place your boys? In which group is arriving first, where my efforts need to be put, what kind of room cleaning is required first, etc., so on and so forth. So basically, as you keep climbing up, your role actually becomes more of management. You need to start showing now your leadership skills. You need to do quick decision making, firefighting more in the sense of crisis management. Someone's complaining here, someone's room is required here, someone's not happy because hot water is not coming. So in that sense, multitasking, to be able to handle a lot of facets of the business simultaneously, starts becoming more and more important as you go up. And one of the biggest things, I think, as you climb up, is teamwork, because I can't think of one role in the entire hotel that you work as an individual. You're always working in teams. There's someone relying on you for something else. So that chain is so critical. If you don't deliver, someone else is not going to be able to deliver, So getting all of that organized and, working as per some set standards and discipline is what you start working towards as you move up the rung. So this F&B has two routes. You either take the restaurant vertical or the banquets vertical, banquets and events, right? Which is, a clear-cut separate vertical today. So if it's restaurants, you're also talking about in-room dining, you're talking about specialty restaurants, all-day dining, etc. And in banquets, it's typically handling the bulk business of the food and beverage side, events, weddings, parties, functions, corporate events, etc. So those are the two routes that you take to grow into the food and beverage manager position. So like I said, you can be the steward, then you start as a supervisor, a team captain, team lead, and then you move on to becoming a restaurant manager or an assistant restaurant manager, banquet manager, or an assistant banquet manager, depending on the size and scale of hotel and operations. And after that is assistant food and beverage manager, then food and beverage manager. And when you get into director of rooms and in terms of accommodations, then you're handling both departments like front office and housekeeping. And when you get into director of food and beverage, then you usually even handle the kitchen side of the business. So there's food and beverage and there's kitchen, right? So the food and beverage department has service and production. Sorry, I should have mentioned that first. So either I take the service route, which was restaurants and banquets, or I take the food production route, which is the kitchens, and the kitchen route is also similar. You start as a commis, there's a commis 1, commis 2, sous chefs. Then I go as number 2 to executive chef, senior sous chef, then executive chef. Now, what are some of the careers open to me as food and beverage? Of course, hotels, resorts, cruises. A lot of cruises today look at people from the food and beverage line, because the cruises typically have as high as 15-20 restaurants on board, right? So food and beverage is for these careers. Beyond that, restaurants. Today, restaurants standalone itself is such a large business. Those opportunities, seeing good restaurants outside hotels was not there earlier. Once upon a time, it was 5-star hotels only. But today you have some of the best chains, QSRs outside. So you take the food and beverage route, you get into the QSR, quick service restaurants like the McDonald's, KFCs of the world, or you then take the other restaurant chains like Barbecue Nations and whatever the specialty restaurants, or you go into retail side of the food business like food halls. You might have heard of the company called Food Halls. So everybody wants a food and beverage perspective when it comes to this side of the business, the restauranting side of the business. You will also see that in our industry, most hospitality entrepreneurs come from the food and beverage line, because it is also the most creative field and then panning out, running your own restaurants, running other people's chains, is much easy in the entrepreneurial. Everyone doesn't get to set up rooms, a hotel with rooms or a homestay, though that also is becoming quite a possibility today, turning your own homes, lying in your farm environment and saying, I want to now run it as a homestay. But those opportunities are lesser than you see people wanting to open restaurants, catering businesses, running industrial catering set up for corporates. So in food and beverage, I work shifts and I work some graveyard shifts. So do we in even accommodations and housekeeping. But the time and effort in F&B is a little more physical in nature, right? You're setting up restaurants, you're setting up your mise en place, what we call, getting your, before the restaurant opens, everything in order, your cutlery, your crockery, setting up your spa stock, your linen, setting up your tables, making sure your restaurant is neat and clean, making sure all your condiments are in place. So typically, if you are taking the restaurant route, this is the kind of, just think about some people coming home for a party, how your mom's running around, getting all the dishes ready for service, getting all your buffet counters set up. And so it is in that nature, a lot of that interaction, helping them do the billing at checkout and seeing them off. So that's a typical restaurant environment. Now, in terms of banquets, the same thing happens. The mise en place, what we call getting an event ready for a banquet, is way more laborious a task. So one must be ready. If I choose the banquet route, I will be lifting tables, I will be lifting chairs, I will be setting up venues, I will be putting chair covers. There's a lot that goes into physically in a banquet setup. I start very early because our conference has to start at 9, but I need to get at work by 6 o'clock because the whole hall has to be readied, flower arrangements have to be brought in, the decor has to be taken care of, etc. So the work that we see behind the scenes is much higher in banquets. Then the rest of it is setting up your buffet again, doing the service once people break out for lunch, high tea, etc. But all the food and beverage line allows for a lot of creativity. So I would say that if you are creatively inclined, also it's a great space because you can show your creativity in food, in decor arrangements, in the way you set up things, etc. And it allows for a lot more of your flexibility and using more of your personal ideas in the space, So that's how a typical banquet day looks like, that I'm setting it up, then I'm greeting them, meeting them, serving them. Then I'm again, what do you say? At the end of the day, I'm clearing it all as well. And I remember doing banquet events where we had to wind up at 3 and 4 and 5 in the morning. So there is no time to these things because you're not going to ask a guest who's having his wedding function to leave at sharp 11 or 12, right? Just because you want to get home or your policy says that, functions end at 12. So that kind of flexibility, there is a tremendous amount of adaptability and flexibility that is required in our business, be it F&B, be it housekeeping, front office. Every day looks different, Nikhar, and that's the beauty of this business. No day is the same. No, it's not a mundane job. While I make it sound there's check-in, check-out, or there is service in the restaurant, but you're meeting different people every day. You have different problems, different complaints, and the gratification is so instant. And that's my favorite part about the industry, that you actually, you can see the guests feeling happy right in front. What you are delivering is having an impact instantly. You're creating great memories, customer experiences that he's going to take back and remember you for life. So these are the 3 technical departments that we spoke about. However, you can make a career in the sales and marketing side of the business. You can make a career in the HR side of the business, or you can make a career in the accounts and purchase finance side of the business as well. There's IT side as well, but that's a very small part of our hospitality business. Having said that, digital technology is all becoming a very large part going ahead. So IT will not be a department that on its own that will ever get so much prominence, but each individual will be expected to have that kind of knowledge of and adaptability to using technology to create innovative experiences. So technology will play an important role. So coming to sales and marketing, is one of the other most exciting routes. Revenue management and sales and marketing is another interesting career option in the industry. Most people choose that route after being normal graduates. You can do 3 years of graduation, then come in a management training program with companies, Indian chains or international chains, spend a year, 2 years doing sales and marketing with them, as their management trainee, sales and marketing. Or you take the operations route, pick up the nuances of hardcore hoteliering, understand the departments, the roles they play and what they deliver in terms of customer services and experience, do 2 to 3 years of that, and then ask for an internal shift to sales and marketing and learn the rope there, So sales and marketing is an exciting option. There was a stage when, at least I'm talking about in my 15 years back, 9 out of 10 times, if you were in sales and marketing, you never made it to general management. You always took an hardcore ops guy to the GM position. But that's not the case anymore. Because ultimately, hospitality, I think everyone's realizing we're also a business. While there is a lot of heart and customers at the center of things, and hospitality and service is the most critical, but running a business, knowing where do profits come from, how to manage costs, and that angle, and selling, rooms, sales and marketing side has become quite critical. So a lot of people are using even that route to climb up to general management. In fact, I remember when I joined the Marriott in 2014, we had many more general managers who were out of the revenue management and sales and marketing route than we had from F&B or front office, which was for me a very different experience compared to when I moved from the Taj, where usually it was always the ops guy who made it to the top, So sales and marketing, HR is also a very interesting route. HR and training. You could be part of any of these verticals. Get yourself an executive MBA or an MBA sometime later in your life, after you've joined hotels, and then move into any of these verticals of finance, HR, or sales and marketing. So you could decide, I want to try ops, but if you feel after that, this is not working for me, or I want to now cross over to other industries, I think that's the time, 3 years, 5 years out, after getting exposure in the hotel operations, you then think of a higher education. So ideally, I do hotel management. I do a diploma in hotel management, or I do a bachelor's in hotel management, which is in... So you take the National Council route, which are your IHMs. There are these, the IHM Pusa, the IHM Dadar, the Bombay IHMs. So you have the IHM route, which is linked to the Ministry of Tourism, which are central institutes and state institutes. And I do a 4-year course in hotel management with them, which is called Hotel Management and Catering Technology. Or I join private colleges. Today, there are lots and lots of private colleges. Those options never existed earlier. Or you also join colleges which are linked to universities, like you have the Christ University, SRM University. They all have now a hotel management vertical, So I basically do a bachelor's. Now, if I want to do catering, then I move on to do an additional 1-year program or a 2 years program in the catering side of things, right? Sorry, not catering, I mean culinary side of things. So if I want to become a chef and I want to work more on that part of my skills, then I take the culinary art courses. Now, everyone's offering that as well, an additional year or additional 2 years of a culinary program. So IHM Aurangabad does it, Welcome Group, Vaksha does it. So I typically take this hotel management route. I decide whether I want to go F&B or front office. In the last year, they asked you for a specialization. I decide that. I try and I aim to get into a management training program. It really helps that soon after your education, you actually join a good chain for either when you're doing internships, you get good exposures with branded chains. It's very critical. Or when you're joining a company, you also start with a good chain, because that's really what's going to catapult your career. Joining a good brand, because you're learning, your foundational learning will get strengthened with a brand before you decide, I now want to become an entrepreneur, I want to run my own hotel, I want to run my own setup. I'd say figure it out through a proper branded chain route. Learn your nuances and then decide to go on to doing your own, So try and get yourself into a management training program or a hotel operations management training program, because that really catapults your career. You get 2 more years where a chain is spending time and energy honing your skills and getting you ready for their managerial positions, So that really steps you up and faster, puts you on the fast track of the career, than anybody else who doesn't make it to management training program. So some of the best programs in the country today are run, the management training program by Taj or the Oberoi's OCLD, or for that matter, the Marriott. So join any international chain or a domestic chain on their program. Management training program would be the best way to enter. See, I believe in our industry, it's not good grades only that matter. What really matters is your aptitude and your ability to do hard work. So just adding degrees in education, you will still start at an entry level. I keep telling them that. It's not like I will move after you've done a degree and then you've done 3 years of say bachelor's, then you've gone in for a master's. Now you have 5 years behind you. It doesn't mean I'll push you straight to a head of department. It'll never happen. You will still have to start afresh as any other candidate who's entering the industry, learn the ropes of a housekeeping attendant, of a front office executive, a receptionist, a steward, and then move up the ladder. So for me, if I was to hire you in my hotel, I wouldn't give extra weightage to masters, but I would give weightage to a higher education 3 to 5 years down the line, because then it sends me the signal that I'm interested in building a career where I'm also looking at honing a managerial set of skills, being able to read P&L statements, understanding accounts better, a general overview of, the world outside, the world macroeconomics and things like that. Go ahead and keep adding value. But I think spend that first 3 to 5 years on the shop floor before you take on a higher education. It's very easy to cross over from another discipline into hospitality. It's not hard. It's not really what you are educated in. We actually look at the right attitude, your communication skills, your interpersonal skills, your ability to work in teams. What are other skill sets? Your ability to be quick, think on your feet quickly, to be able to be a little more creative. So if whatever vertical you are, so you've done HR and you run sales and marketing, you did business administration, BBA, and now you realize you want to come into this line, not an issue. Come join in, gain the experience. You'll start at an entry level, gain that exposure, and make your way to the top. It's a lot of hard work. There's no substitute in our industry to climb. You have to spend hours. Unfortunately, we're not an industry where you can work remotely. I can't sit at home and run my hotel. I mean, you can think of so many jobs you can remotely do, but hospitality, no, because it's all about the personal touch, the connect. The more time I spend on the shop floor with my customers, with my people, is as good as a hotel gets. In fact, I remember my mentor always telling me, Ritu, the hotel is as good as its GM. And that means if you're there spending more time and, understanding the pulse of your customers, that's really what it takes. You could do lots of online courses. Today, there are tons of them, and it doesn't have to be through most reputed colleges or anything. You can do any online program, However, no, there is no real, the training, a lot of our training in the hospitality business happens at the units, at the hotels. So there are various learning and development programs that you will go through once you join the hospitality industry, because each organization has its own set of standards they want you to follow, which differentiates Oberoi from a Taj. So the kind of skills I teach you in terms of softer skills get all built up while I'm on the job. The on-the-job training has tremendous importance in our industry, So I'd say that if you finished graduation, apply for a job, join them on a probation, do some on-the-job training with them, and ultimately learn the ropes, and then it continues as is. While you're on with these good chains, you will anyway be taken through lots of training programs. You're trained on reservation management, room making, check-in, check-out. So technical skills are always being refreshed. So you have refresher courses that even hotels take. So make your case strong that you have the right personality and aptitude for the job. What's important to know is that your best option to get into the best chains, if you've done hotel management, is through campus. Really everybody comes to some of the top chains. Your first attempt should be to get into the top 10 hotel management schools. If you really want a great career, you have to be in one of the key IHMs of the country. IHM Pusa, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore. Or you have to come from a great college in terms of a private college, be it Aurangabad or Indian School of Hospitality, Gurgaon, or you need to be out of the Welcome Group. So really, you're setting the right tone for your career by getting yourselves into the best colleges. Okay. Once I'm in one of the best colleges, most of the colleges I've mentioned, they have at least 100% guarantee of job placements, pretty much. They will make sure the right companies are coming to you to pick you up through interviews right at campus. And this is not only hotels. This is hotels, airlines, BPOs like Genpact. With the world's now opened. I mean, the campus is open now to anybody who wants the skill set, like I said, willing to take facility management companies, etc. So this is the best route. Ultimately is to get through your campus interviews to your top companies. That means you really have to be prepared. You can't, so when I say grades don't matter completely, it doesn't mean that I can be in the last 10 and only impress through my panel discussions, group discussions, and a personal interview. No, there is a blend. Everybody wants to see a blend. But even if you're an average student, but you're able to talk your way, communicate, be a little informed about what's happening in terms of trends in the industry, be able to talk intelligently, show them that you're quick to think, etc., you're through. That's all really we need. We are looking for people who are comfortable to communicate and engage with customers. That's it. Because at the center of everything is just customer for us. So that is the ideal route. Job placement, job placement through their management training program from the campus. That's ideal if you make it. Because I don't take management trainees, I don't just announce it and say apply. I don't. I only go to the best top colleges in the world and say I'm ready to open up. And how many? A management training program takes, in my time, we used to take 5 earlier. The batches before me was 5. It moved to 10, then it moved to 12. Of course, now they're taking a lot more because unfortunately the dropouts during the program is also high. So now the numbers have moved to 20, 25. But I'm still saying, that's your chance. 32,000 people give this National Council exams. Who finally make it, placement seats around 10 to 12,000, so 100 a batch or something. Out of that, when campus recruitment happen, you're picking up 15, 20 people into your management training and maybe a few others into an operational training program. So you have to crack it in that level if you want to succeed. Most of the entry-level positions are advertised for, either on LinkedIn if it's managerial or even in papers. They advertise saying we're opening, we're doing a pre-opening hotel and we have an interview lined up on such and such a date. Come and apply. Or you have to use your network and connects to get in. Typically, I know Taj used to have something called a graduate management training program. That means that training program of 2 years, their management training program was just focused towards people who are graduates and not hotel management pass outs, So, and there are chains like the Marriott who have these graduate programs of sales and marketing. So I should go and study which chain offers an easy entry for me if I'm not from the hotel management discipline, and try and make it for these management training programs. Otherwise, the route is normal. If I'm an HR person, I apply for an HR vacancy. I'm in accounts, I apply for an accounts vacancy and I take that route. But the operations route is harder to get into. It's not impossible. I would take a sales and marketing guy happily into front office if he wants to come, because there is what he needs to learn can be learned extremely fast on the job. I continue to say that. It is not super technical. In fact, technical, if I would create a pie chart, I'd say 25 to 30% would be my technical know-how. At least 50% would be my communication, interpersonal skills, and the rest of it would be a little bit on my managerial side. I think it's great because it really, again, is considered, if you go out to Switzerland and you do hotel management, or you do Cornell, or you do, any of these well-known programs out of the country, I'd say they have great value in India because the international chains have entered the country and they appreciate this degree, this kind of education. However, your path towards the managerial position is less dependent on your degree or your education, but your entry, you're making your first impression and getting a good chain to start with is what such an education helps with. So if I studied out of IHM Shillong and you came out of Lausanne, the possibility of both of us making it to Taj Mahal, Bombay, the Lausanne guy would get through and IHM Shillong may not. But if both of us have entered, then it's the same. You both have to perform as well to show it. It's not like you will get catapulted. No.
You see, the entry barriers are lower if I get an international education because, probably hospitality standards or the way that you're trained is in a far more high quality manner.
Yes, I definitely say that. Correct. We need to have this aptitude for service. People, we should be comfortable dealing with people because you will either be upward managing people, downward managing people, or customer management, right? So your comfort with being able to communicate, your interpersonal skills is by far one of the most critical sets. So this whole thing about whether I should be an introvert, extrovert, it's great. We like people who are going to be able to communicate with ease, like chatting up, that's the kind of charming personality we're looking at. Having said that, like I said, adaptability. You have to be a flexible person, being able to change this way, that way. There are times where, you start your day, you're in housekeeping, but you suddenly have to run and someone wants your help in front office, so you move to F&B. Today, resource management, resource is very limited in hotels because it's become so critical to be able to give cost, to be able to manage costs, that people are now limited. Gone are the days where I worked where there were hundreds of us in the department, Now there are few, all of us being multitasked. So my ability to be able to deal with a lot of things simultaneously is very critical. Passion. If you're not passionate about this side of the business, serving, dirtying your hands, talking to people, being comfortable around people. If this is not passionate, but you just want to do a course because you believe it's less studies and, I'll decide after that, hotels, you won't survive. It's so hard that unless you feel your heart is in it, it's not going to be easy to deliver. Because when I got my first posting from a small town like Hyderabad in those days to Mahal, Bombay, and I was staying at Andheri. For people, I don't know how many of you are Bombay based, I was staying at Andheri to come to Kolaba, and I had to catch a train that's 6:14 fast, for being on shift by 7:30. and I wouldn't get home till 8 and 9 in the evening. So just the fact that it takes so much of your time, your ability to time manage is just so critical in these kind of roles. You're gone for 12 to 14 hours. Your ability to manage your energy, smile constantly, whatever's being said and done, you need to maintain the calmness, composure. It is stressful. So, I'm saying if all of this will only come out of passion, you can't force yourself to feel this kind of enthusiasm in an environment where there's someone screaming and shouting at you. You've already given so many hours of travel to reach work. You've been standing on your feet. You're standing on your feet in front office, like for 12 hours often. Those shifts are 8 hours. It never is. You have to extend. If there's some group check-in coming, you're not going to say, no, it's time up. We never say that in our industry. It's not clocking in and clocking out ever. You are asked to come early, you're asked to leave late. So I'm saying a lot of, so your ability to be able to work under pressure, work under stress is very critical. There's no industry that requires the kind of attention to detail the way we do. I'd say being proactive, proactive is very important. We have to be a few steps ahead of our customer. Even before he asks, we need to deliver. So I'm saying that only comes if you have attention to detail. However, let me tell you, hospitality is an industry that's going to stay evergreen. It is very cyclic in nature. You will see that every little incident anywhere in the world affects our business. We know that. So there's a 9/11, we're affected. There's bombing in Sri Lanka, we're affected. There's a terrorist attack in Pakistan, we'll be affected. We're affected pretty much by the layman, what happened in 2007-8, we got affected. So pretty much everything affects us because every industry relies on us. But that is also the very reason we're never going to go out of fashion. We will always be required. Yes, what the industry is now having to do is change its business models, change its style of servicing, become touchless in many ways, provide a heightened level of security, safety, hygiene. So yes, things are changing at an operational level, but it is only a matter of time where it'll bounce back. We have to bounce back because I have great faith in the whole human spirit, and the industry is led completely by humans. Technology is a very small aspect of our industry which is growing, and like we were talking, Nikhar, AI, robotics, chatbot, all of that is now becoming a part of our industry, but the human touch will never go away. I might still use a lot of that to increase efficiency, but I'm not too sure if I can completely replace it. So there's no fear of whether I will still have a job, but like I remember you mentioning, there are new jobs coming in. There's a very big focus on digital marketing. So social media management, so those roles are now popping up, which never existed. It was all being done in-house or outsourced. But now, it was just one small vertical of sales and marketing, but that's getting way more important. Smart hotels are the latest trend. That means technology everywhere, from key cards to, to having Alexas in room taking my orders, and all of that is going to happen. Technology is going to make life easier. It's going to be a convenience. It's going to be an added convenience, and utilizing technology to do data analytics, to study our customers, to understand what customers like, don't like, what they want delivered on the shop floor, utilizing that guest profile information and utilizing it for innovative customer experience is going to become the trend and so on. So these are the kind of changes that COVID has forced us to think. And yes, being able to work with limited resources, it has meant that earlier, like I said, there were 3 people doing the job, but now one has to learn how to do it. But technology is supporting you, right? So that's how it's going to be possible. But it'll always stay. I mean, hotels, rooms will always be required. Events will always be done. It's only currently we're at restricted times. But what's going to start growing is leisure. People do want to go out and step out into smaller destinations. So this is a point, if I miss it out I'd like to make it right away that earlier our careers, I always wanted to work in a city hotel. You know, in fact, when I got from Bombay, got posted to Goa, even though I was as an acting HOD at a very young age, in 5 years out, I was told that you can become acting FOM at Goa. I thought my career is ended. Like, who would go to Goa? You know, it's like saying anywhere out of Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and my heart would like, you know, I'd say, no, I can't. But I would say explore smaller destinations when you are getting training in your careers, because that's where the growth is. You know, go to tier 2, tier 3 towns, you know, Goa for that matter, or for small towns like, for that matter, Simla, wherever. The leisure business is what's going to boom going ahead, because we're going to rely so heavily on domestic movement. So if you get an opportunity to work in a branded resort in Coorg, don't say no just because it's not in a party place and we don't have pubs and restaurants to chill out in the evening. No. I mean, those used to be some of the criteria we were all driven by. I mean, how will we have fun? But you need to first spend those first few years gaining exposure across the various segments of business, you know. So go to a smaller town like Coorg, Kabini if you have to. Start with a Bangalore, but move out. I mean, our industry is going to now expand to every nook and corner of the world, you know. So even if it means go to Rishikesh, you know. I forgot to mention, spa is also a very interesting career. The spa and wellness space is a growing vertical within our own hospitality industry. So you could even be at some point after joining ops, say I want to get into the spa and wellness route and run spas. And people, we're doing that, you know. So for that also, all the training is provided on the shop floor. So it's not like you need to have learned how to do massages or understand therapies or, you know, how to run a spa. But once you enter the hotel, then that is also a route that's existing. So the point I'm trying to make is really that it's been very hard to cope with this scenario. But I'm very, very positive that it's a matter of time, because we're used to a cyclic industry. There is a trough, occupancies drop, business drops, but then it comes back as well. And this is a cycle we'll see throughout our careers. But it shouldn't deter us, you know, because the industry has so much to offer. So one was this, that I said that gone are the days where you only should look at cities to build your careers, you know. Resort management is a separate vertical by itself. If you go to the international chains, they do, international institutes, they take courses on resort management alone. So resorts are a very exciting part of our business, you know, adventure tourism and resorts, right? So I would say open your mind to be mobile, because everybody likes a team player who's ready to move when the requirement is also there, you know. So I think one of the key reasons that I grew fast, because for every 2.5, 3 years, I was ready to move. You know, I kept getting another hotel every 2.5, 3 years. It was like a new job. It was so exciting. I mean, every day has been a different day, I tell you, Nikhar. So people say, how did you spend 18 years in Taj? 18 years, but 8 hotels, you know. So it is a new job. When you come into a new city, meeting new people, a new destination to study. So take those opportunities, get out there, take initiative. It is so important, you know. Like I said, you may be front office discipline, but if there is a need in housekeeping, step up. Say, ma'am, I don't know it, sir, I don't know it. I'm happy to pick it along the way, and take that opportunity to cross over if you get that opportunity, you know, because I would still say I would prefer a team player who's a jack of all trades and a master of none. In our business, that has a lot of value, to be able to do a little of everything. Because as you climb up the ladder, it's not what you know, but who you know that matters. I like to, you know, end with that. A guest shared that with me once, Ritu, saying how you make your bed won't matter, but your networking, your ability to meet, having met people across various departments when you worked, you know, different customer profile. That will hold you in good stead as you grow up the ladder, not the technical know-how. So don't put too much attention on that. Don't fear that I only learned housekeeping. How will I move to F&B? Be open-minded. You can pick it up along the way on the job, and try and cover as many departments as you're moving up.
Okay, so we're now going to open up the sort of floor to questions from the 6 individuals that have joined us here today.
I wanted to know, as I am trying to get into the hotel industry in particular, I wanted to know which is the best department for growth and learning in terms of the first opening.
I would say depends on what you are inclined towards as well, Ashwin. I will maintain, do what you're passionate about, because after a while it won't matter the route that you take to general management. But if you force yourself, I say go to the kitchen. Is kitchen an area of interest for you? So what is your area of interest?
My areas of interest is more into talking to people, connecting with them.
Correct.
And,
so if I tell you to go to the kitchen because it builds your career, would that excite you? Maybe
won't
not.
Excite me much.
Correct. But that's the point I made. Do what you're passionate about, because really your passion will only last through this entire journey. It's a very tough journey. I'm not going to mince words. I'm not going to sugarcoat. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of your physical effort, emotional effort, and therefore I would say there is no one correct route. All disciplines are reaching to the top. It's your hard work, your aptitude, your ability to take initiative, stay open, stay mobile, take on new roles, responsibilities that will help your growth.
Yes, ma'am. Second, I also wanted to know, we spoke about the management training during the session. You told us about the management trainings about Taj and Oberoi's. So I wanted to know the best route to get into management training, and also the best company which is advised.
I will say to you, Ashwin, this may be a little high level. We'll try and see if you can understand it. Join a company where you believe your values match. So read up a little about the Marriott, read up a little about the Taj, read up about Oberoi's. Go through their websites, see which one you really resonate with. Who is really look at it physically, look at hotels, read their values. They will surely be sharing a mission statement, their vision. Read a little more about them and then decide.
Ashwin, I hope that answers your questions, yeah?
Yes, sir. Does answer my questions very clearly, and I'm done with all my doubts. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ritu, for these incredible insights. I'm sure that any person wanting to build a career in hotel management would get a lot of value after listening to your experiences and thoughts.